and I'm feeling good.
A lawmaker who signed on to a resolution affirming Christianity as the state of Missouri's majority religion said he isn't trying to turn Missouri into a theocracy. He just wants Christians to feel free to publicly express their faith.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, the way you're going about trying to allow Christians to feel free to publicly express their faith is by passing a resolution which recognizes Christianity as the official majority religion. And it goes farther than that. I've got the actual text of the resolution here, which I'll read in a bit. But, you know, if Christians don't feel free to publicly express their faith, it's not because of persecution against them.
Right.
It's because Christianity is freaking stupid. And it's getting to the point where enough people are aware of that when you open your fat trap and start saying this nonsense publicly and you get laughs or finger pointing or funny looks, that's just to be expected.
Yeah.
Representative Barney Fisher, Republican, said in an interview that the recently filed resolution was met with a wave of backlash from critics who, he said, have distorted the resolution's intent. They feel minority rights have been threatened, which they haven't, Fisher said. They feel we're trying to create a state religion, which would be impossible to do. Some people feel threatened by this. Well, it is technically accurate that this resolution does not call. First of all, it's the only resolution, not a law, and it does not call for a single monolithic state religion. However, what it does do is it singles out Christianity for recognition as the majority religion, as if a resolution was necessary in order to recognize a bald fact.
Yeah, what the hell? Why bring it up?
And it goes further, and I'll get to the actual resolution in a bit here. In a recent email to one of his constituents, Fisher wrote that he fully understood that controversy would surround the resolution because, quote, today, uttering the words Christianity or Christ in public draws all manner of scorn and labels. Yeah, because you're a freaking idiot and you're making a fool of yourself.
And you're trying to destroy our rights.
Well, I'm just talking about uttering the words Christianity and Christ in public. Yeah. If there is public derision when you say those things, the reason is not that there's some law against you have to overturn. Right. The reason is you're a retard. No offense to people with actual mental problems. I have truly enjoyed... Now we'll see his true colors.
Yes.
I have truly enjoyed watching the liberal element of our state and nation come out squalling like scalded dogs in protest, being forced to unmask their watered-down Christian views, wrap themselves in the Constitution, and try to justify the view that the will of the minority should trump the will of the majority. Okay, let's deconstruct this entire paragraph. First, I've got it. I'm going to read that at the end.
So many ignorant opinions stacked on top of each other.
First, there's just the insult of, scalded dogs for liberals. I mean, that's not called for. I called you a retard. You want to call me a scalded dog, you go right ahead. But a lot of people who are objecting to this, right, who are public figures and in politics, are not calling him names, and he's got no call to be doing that to them. Being forced to unmask their watered-down Christian views. Now, here is true colors.
They're not real Christians.
Right. His objection to them is that they're not as Christian as him.
Right.
Wrap themselves in the Constitution. You know, if you're going to freaking wrap yourself in something in this nation, that should be it.
That is the thing.
and try to justify the view that the will of the minority should trump the will of the majority. Excuse me, sir.
That is what the Constitution says.
Yes, what the Constitution is for.
Yes.
My wife has an excellent little phrase, right? There's a catchphrase. Democracy is two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for dinner.
Right.
Right? That people have said that for a long time. My wife adds, the Constitution is the piece of paper that says it's not going to be the sheep.
Right.
That is where the rights of the minority trump the will of the majority to crap all over those rights.
We live in a constitutional democracy, not a simple democracy.
Yeah.
And the Constitution says, no, sorry, you can't have a tyranny of the majority. You just can't.
Critics of the resolution charge that it is the first in a string of attempts to make Christianity a dominating force in Missouri politics and schools.
Exactly. Otherwise, why bring it up?
Quote, yeah, because, majorities don't need to be defended.
Right.
Protected. They just don't need it. They're the majority.
Yeah, and whether or not you're the majority religion is just a matter of fact and numbers.
Right.
Yeah. You don't need any kind of document to proclaim it. But there's actual language in there. I think we know what the real meaning is.
I'm going to get to it in a minute.
Yeah.
This is a cynical attempt by a certain faction of politicians to utilize religion to divide the people of Missouri along religious lines during an election year, said Brett Shirk, executive director of the American Civil Liberties Union of Kansas and Western Missouri. It essentially asks legislators to vote on whether they believe in God and whether they think that the Christian version of God should be ratified as the state religion of Missouri. Shirk said, the ACLU supports a student's right to voluntarily pray in schools, and that the ACLU would defend students if their right to pray was being hindered. It's one more attempt to create a theocracy, Shirk said in a phone interview. But despite the views of opponents, the resolution sponsor, Representative David Saster, Republican, is keeping quiet. He declined to comment Tuesday on his measure. A House resolution is not a bill and therefore cannot become a law. Representative Marilyn Roostman, Republican, said House resolutions are largely symbolic, simply reflecting the opinion of lawmakers who sign on to them. She said they usually don't carry much consequence.
Great, let's get rid of them.
Fisher wrote in an email to another constituent that the resolution does not breach the constitutional divide between church and state, since it does not establish a state religion. Okay, maybe I should cut in and read the text of the thing now, because I'm just sick of this. House Concurrent Resolution Number 13. Lucky Resolution Number 13. 93rd General Assembly. Whereas our forefathers of this great nation of the United States recognized a Christian God and used the principle afforded to us by him as the founding principles of our nation. And whoa. First of all, they're wrong. This is just a lie.
That's a lie.
Well, it may be a weasel.
But it's a blanket statement, and it's not true, therefore it's a lie. Some of our forefathers, possibly even a majority of our forefathers, which of course would be all this guy needs in order to feel justified, were Christians. But many of our forefathers, including some of the most famous and most influential ones, were deists, and didn't recognize Christian God at all.
And anytime anybody proposed that God or Christ or Christianity be added to the wording of the Constitution at all, he was voted out every time. We specifically voted God out of the Constitution.
Also, notice the bait and switch here. First it talks about the forefathers recognizing a Christian God. Then it talks about the forefathers using the principles afforded to us by him, capital H, meaning God. So, first they say the Founding Fathers recognized there was a God. Then it goes on to make the assumption that there is such a God, and that he gave us the founding principles of our nation.
Right.
Yeah, like the Ten Commandments, of which barely 3 are laws.
Suddenly a God is concocted here.
Guys, let's go on, because that's only the first whereas. Whereas, as citizens of this great nation, we, the majority, also wish to exercise our constitutional right to acknowledge our Creator.
We, the majority?
We, the majority, also wish to exercise our constitutional right to acknowledge our Creator and give thanks for the many gifts provided by Him. Once again, we're now off the subject of, just historically what the Founding Fathers did, and we're deeply into, we believe in this God, and we're passing a resolution that,
we're passing a resolution that assumes His existence.
Yes.